Alright, today I'm going to teach you how to write the equation of a parabola from a graph, which we have talked about a little bit, but I'm going to show you how to do it algebraically. So, vertex form of a parabola is our y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So today we're going to use this vertex form to find the equation of the parabola. So the steps to do this is, the first thing is we want to identify the vertex and one other coordinate on the graph. So we're going to find the vertex first. So let's look at this example over here. Looks like each line is by 2's. So when you look at that, if each line is by 2's, this will be 2, 4, 6. So negative 6. This will be negative 2. So the vertex is at negative 6, negative 2. And then I need to find one other point on the graph that's not the vertex. So looks like we have, there's this point right here. That's at negative 10, negative 10. All right, so we find the vertex and one other point on the graph. Because the vertex, when we find that, we have our h, we have our k of our equation. And then when we find one other point on the graph, any other point on the graph, we have an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So moving on to step 2. Step 2 is we're going to plug in the values for x, y, h, and k. And then we're going to solve for the only thing that we don't know is the a, which affects, the shape of the parabola and the direction. So I'm going to write the equation again first. All right, and then we're going to plug in our values for all of these that we just found. We're going to plug them in to solve for a. So the y coordinate that we found was negative 10. So it's going to be negative 10 equals a, we don't know. Now I'm going to plug in the x coordinate, which is also negative 10, minus, then our h value is negative 6, so it'll be minus a negative 6 squared, which subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding, so we're just going to change that to plus plus. And then our last value that we plugged in was k, which is negative 2, so minus 2. All right, and then when we go to simplify this, we always want to simplify the parentheses first and square it. So negative 10 plus 6 is negative 4 squared, then minus 2. Well, negative 4 squared is negative 4 times negative 4, which is 16. So I'm going to put that in front of the a, so 16 times a. And then we still have the minus 2. So now we just want to get a by itself. So to get a by itself, I'm going to add 2 to each side. Then I'm going to write it over here. So negative 10 plus 2 is, just going to move it over here, negative 8 equals 16a. And to get a by itself, we're going to divide by 16. And when we do that, negative 8 over 16 reduces to negative 1/2 equals a. So now, so that's step 2. So step 3 is after you find the a value, we're going to plug in a, h, and k to write the equation. So now when we plug it in, we're going to leave y as y and x as x. Because we want to write the equation. So y equals, I put my a, which is negative 1/2, times x. And then it was, if you remember, is minus the negative 6. So it's really going to be plus 6 squared. And the k value is minus 2. That's a minus y. Oh my gosh. Minus 2. And that is the equation of the parabola. So we found the vertex and one other point. We plugged it all in step 2 to solve for a. Then once we have a, we can write our equation. So let's jump to the next example here. All right, so let's find the vertex. Looks like it's this point right here, which is 1, 4, I believe. Then I'm going to choose one other point on the graph, which I'm going to choose this guy because there's a 0 there. So I'm going to choose the point 0, 5. You could choose any of these other points and it will work just the same. You'll get the same value for a. All right. So we have our h, k, our x, and our y. So let's plug it in to vertex form. So when I go to plug it in, I'll get y equals, which is 5, equals a, we don't know yet, times, and I'm going to plug in x, which is 0, minus h, which is 1, squared, and then plus k, which is plus 4. Okay, so next, remember, we always want to simplify the parentheses here and square it. So 0, that's a 5. Oh my gosh. So 0 minus 1 is negative 1 squared. It's just positive 1. So it'll be positive 1a, which I don't even need to write the 1 now. I can just write a plus 4. And when I go to solve for a, I'm going to subtract 4. So then we'll get a equals 1. So 5 minus 4 is 1. So now we can write our equation because now we have a, h, and k. So our equation of the parabola is y equals, a is 1, which I don't need to write, so I'll just erase it. So then I'll just have x minus h, which is minus 1 squared, and then plus k, which is plus 4. So that is our equation of our parabola. And then domain, it will keep getting wider and wider. So our domain is going to be negative infinity to infinity. Our range is the lowest y value it goes to is 4. Then it goes up forever. So our range is going to be 4 with a bracket to infinity. And then the max or min question is talking about the vertex. So is this vertex, is it a minimum value? Is it like the lowest value the parabola goes to, or is it a maximum value? So this one, since it opens up, the vertex is the minimum point. So we're just going to circle minimum. Okay. All right, so let's jump to number 2. I want you to identify the vertex. Each of these lines is by 2. So I want you to figure out the vertex and then one other point. I'll give you a head start. All right, hopefully you found the vertex to be at 5, 7. Because if these lines go by 2, that's going to be 5. That's 7 right there. And then choose one other point. So we could have picked this point, 410, or 610. It wouldn't have mattered. But I just wrote down 410. So let's plug in those values. So we plug those in. So it's going to be y equals, or 10 equals a, we don't know, times x is 4, minus h is 5 squared. And we have plus k, which is plus 7. So then when we simplify that, 4 minus 5 is going to be negative 1 squared. And negative 1 times a negative 1 will just be positive 1. So then we'll have 10 equals 1a, or just a, plus 7. So then when we solve for a, we subtract 7. And oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do that. 10 minus 7 is 3, so 3 equals a. Which makes sense because this parabola is really narrow, so that's why it made it more narrow. Now we're going to write our equation now that we know what a is. So it's going to be y equals a, which is 3. Parentheses, now I put my x minus h, which was minus 5 squared, and then plus 7. So that is the equation of the parabola. And the domain, again, is negative infinity to infinity because there's no restrictions. And the range, the lowest y point that it touches is 7. It's the lowest y right here. So it goes from 7 with a bracket to infinity. And then because the parabola opens up, that means the vertex is a minimum value. All right. Let's move on and do number 3. So number 3 right here, each line is by 2's again. So it looks like the vertex is at 0, -4. Each line is by 2's. Then I'm going to choose one other point. I'm just going to choose the positive 6, 8. So we have less negatives to deal with. All right, so we chose a vertex and one other point, which means we have all of our values to plug in to solve for A. So we're going to plug those in. So it's going to be y equals, or 8 equals A, we don't know, times x, oops, forgot to plug in the value for x. X is 6, so we're going to go 6 minus h, which is 0, squared, and then plus k, which is minus 4. All right, so when we simplify this, 6 minus 0 is just 6. 6 squared is going to be 36. So then it will be a times 36, or 36a. We're just going to put that in front of the a. Minus 4. All right, so we keep solving for a. We're going to add 4 to each side. And we get 8 plus 4 is 12 equals 36a. And divide by 36. So 12 over 36, that simplifies to be 1/3 equals a. So now that we know our a value, we can write our equation. So we have the parabola is going to be y equals that 1/3 we got for a, and then x minus 0 squared. So if it's x minus 0 squared, well, I can just write x squared. And I can write x squared like that in parentheses, or I really don't need them, so I can just write x squared like that. And then k is minus 4. All right, that makes the domain still going to be everything, negative infinity to infinity. And the range looks like the lowest value that it touches is that -4. So we're going to go -4. And then it opens up forever, so -4 to infinity. And then max or min, well, the vertex, since the parabola opens up, the vertex is a minimum point. If it opened down like this, then that would be a maximum point if it were like that. So what I want you to do is try number 4 on your own, and then I want you to check it with your neighbor. And then your assignment, that's on the following page, I want you to use page 51 for your work. All right, so check this last problem. I want you to do this on your own in your notes. We'll check with your neighbor, make sure you guys get the same answer, and then you can start working on those problems and using page 51 as your work. All right, good luck. You got this.